This is the 22nd year of holding these awards, and I would like to thank you for being with us each year to show your support and congratulate the awardees. Since the foundation started, our flagship opportunity remains the scholarships, which was initiated in 1976 and has to date supported over 500 young Indians to study in leading universities across the United Kingdom, Europe, and the USA. In total, 1,400 young and talented Indians have been supported since then by the foundation across the 20 plus opportunities that we offer each year, including scholarships, fellowships, awards, grants, internship, residencies, and more, given in fields such as the humanities, sciences, social engagement, conservation, and the arts. It was in 1982 that the first scholarship to study the arts was given to Rekha Rodvitya, and since then we've had over 50 scholars go overseas to pursue the arts. Over the years, there was a need felt to support the individual in the arts. In response to this, the Inlaks Fine Art Award was initiated in 2004 and has to date supported 116 young artists. Our Flourishing Arts program has been inspired and shaped by the vision of our chairperson, Azad Shivdasani. He says, and I quote, "In the fabric of modern-day Indian democracy, one of the most important threads is freedom of expression. Our artistic community, including writers and poets, are the keepers of the flame of this vital freedom. They make sure it burns bright and dances in myriad ways across our land. This is why the foundation considers our artists to be amongst our living national treasures." This year's artists have been chosen by a distinguished jury comprising Sheila Gowda, Sanchayan Ghosh, Sehaj Rahal, and Amita Malkani. We cannot thank them enough for spending long hours to identify the awardees through a rigorous selection process, and we express our gratitude to them. We're thrilled to begin this evening with a showcase with Arvind Cherayan, our Inlaks Asia Art Archive grantee for 2025, who will be sharing with us excerpts from his research and how he integrates it into his artistic practice. He will also be performing some songs and briefly explaining their historical context and significance. To share more about the grant and specifically talk about Arvind's work, I would like to invite Sneha Raghavan, Head of Asia Art Archive in India and Senior Researcher.
Thanks, Priyanka, and good evening, everyone. I'm Sneha Raghavan, and I work for Asia Art Archive in India, a New Delhi-based independent arts organization dedicated to reimagining modern and contemporary art historical narratives in the region through the framework of archives. What shall we do with the archive, which is the prompt for this grant, stems from the reckoning with the place of archives in our contemporary lives, be it in the many explosive lists, files, documents that are compiled, declassified, or even leaked. For today's showcase, I introduce the recipient of the Inlaks Asia Archive Art Grant for 2024-25, Arvind Cherayan. Arvind is a multidisciplinary artist, folk singer, performer, and photographer who is currently based in Kerala. His practice revisits and reimagines the lived realities of subaltern life, weaving together themes of labor, the body, environment, sound, and music. For the Inlaks AAA Art Grant, Arvind's project undertook archival and artistic research on the Nadan Paatu, or folk songs of Kerala, which is a vast and rich body of music from the subaltern communities. Arvind's project is not so much about the rescue or the neutral recording of these songs, but is an attempt at a critical reclamation through documentation, translation, performance, collaboration, and more.
The title of my project, Kelkane Kelkane in the Logri Bottom, is derived from the song Anandam Paramanandam, written by Sri Shubhananda Gurudevan, the founder of Atma Bodhodaya Sangam. A subaltern theologian, Gurudevan addressed the public at large. Remba was an agricultural laborer working under a landlord. While working in the field, she often took part in spontaneous song competition with the laborers from the paddy field of the neighboring landlord. Without the landlord's knowledge, a song sung from the one field would be answered from the field across. Tinandiram Taru Tannanu Tara Tinandiram Taru Tannanu Tara Tinandiram Taru Manathe Chutti Parakun Parunde Ende Kunninne Kanni Oru Kunjurakko Tarade.
Maybe one question that I wanted to ask, and I think the area of cultural appropriation, I think, was generally very striking. Even in a lot of our conversations that we've had over the last year, but also more recently, this thing about this assumption that people have that folk songs don't have individual, authors or singers or songwriters.
In Nadu is like a different genre. It's like a Vamuri and Varamuri. Vamuri means like the songs coming from the generation. A Varamuri is like a person have like good vocabulary in folk song. They write songs, their own lived experience like that.
How do the worlds of Nadanpatu and young rap overlap? How do they interact all the time?
There is like some kind of rhythmic pattern, like one of the songs of Kawal and Rabba, it's like a rap.
I'll hand things back to Priyanka.
Sorry, I know that was very interesting. I had to hold off my own questions, but we can talk to Arvind more over dinner. So thank you very much, Arvind, for sharing both your work and actually the journey that you've undertaken to create it, and some very beautiful music and the stories behind it. We wish you the best, and Arvind's grant here is over, but we hope he will continue working on this. And Sneha, thank you. Really thank you for moderating this and also triggering the questions. So just one more round of applause maybe. Now to begin the award ceremony, may I request Sheila and Amita, who were our jury members, to introduce our Fine Art Awardees 2026 and their practice. And we will then take you through a presentation of their practice. So Amita and Sheila, can we have you on stage?
The first awardee for this evening is Litika Jain. Can I invite her to come up on the stage? Litika Jain is a multidisciplinary artist with a bachelor's and master's degree in visual arts, both from the Bengaluru School of Visual Art. Trained initially as a painter, her work has expanded into sculpture, installation, kinetics, and assemblage, with an attentiveness to materials, particularly paper pulp and water hyacinth fiber. Could we have her film?
My practice is rooted in slow, layered making that responds closely to materials. This process has moved me from painting to sculptures, collage, installation, and forms with subtle motion. I often begin with fragments such as torn newspaper images, found objects, or discarded materials, which become a starting point for rearrangement and reimagination.
The next awardee is Momita Basak, is an artist from Bardhaman, West Bengal, with an MFA and BFA in painting, both from the Government College of Art and Craft, Calcutta University. Her practice engages with discarded textiles, embroidery threads, and waste cloth, materials traditionally associated with domestic spaces and women's labor. Through her work, she reclaims these humble materials, transforming them into potent visual forms that speak to gender inequality and ecological urgency.
My name is Momita Basak, visual art practitioner based in Srirampur, West Bengal. Growing up in a small village in Bardhaman, my work reflects the intersections of womanhood, memory, and socio-cultural transformation. Through my artistic practice, I express the experiences of women from diverse communities, emphasizing their struggle, resilience, and emotional landscape.
Our next awardee is Pritam Das. Pritam Das is an artist from Singur, currently living and working between Singur and Shantiniketan in West Bengal. He has an MFA in painting from Kala Bhavan, Vishwabharati University, Shanti Niketan, and a BFA in painting from the College of Art and Design, University of Burdwan, both in West Bengal. His practice is rooted in the socio-political and economic realities of Singur, which has been carrying the after effects of forced industrialization and the Singur land movement for nearly 20 years.
Public engagements in the form of events enter my practice through a translatory process. The collective memories from these events become materials later compiled into reportage books for resharing in future events. Project Alter Restaurant was a community food gathering built through public contributions. Cooking and eating together opened a space for collective memory sharing and making. I translate these micro events into sequential forms. This also involves gathering news archives, recording interviews, and translating into various formats to inquire about alternative archives.
ওরা অনেকটা খারাপ করে রেখেছে, যার জন্য কাটার জমিতে কাটা ঘেরার জমিগুলো যে আমরা পুনরায় করেছি, উর্বর করার চেষ্টা করছি আর কি, অ্যাকচুয়ালি উর্বর হচ্ছে না। আর দ্বিতীয় হচ্ছে ওতে ফলন খুব একটা পাচ্ছি না, যে কোনো ফসল দিই না কেন।
Recollection of these collective memories often demands material interventions as well as personal reactions. Every personal or social narrative has a partial force. I question, how do different forms of partial truth shape a resistance across sites? Besides directly engaging with sites, I also interviewed a refrigerator as a microcosm of ecological junction, mediating between the kitchen and the land. Everything I shared till now is rooted in the after effects of the Singur land movement. After the Tebhaga movement in Bengal, this most recent land movement, parallel to the Nandigram movement, continues to mark my conceptual terrain. This post-movement, post-truth landscape is where I think, work, and sleep.
I have Samyukta Kurtarkar. Samyukta Kurtarkar is a painter from Savantwadi, Maharashtra. Born in Goa, she currently practices in Vadodara, Gujarat. Samyukta has completed her Masters in Visual Art from MSU Vadodara in 2025 and has a Bachelor's from Sir J.G. School of Art, Mumbai. Her work speaks about presence and spatial relations, displacement and disappearance, and often involves working with her own family archives, researching the questions of identity, belonging, and survival.
My name is Sayukta Kurtarkar, and I am from Savantwadi, a small town on Goa-Maharashtra border. In my practice, I try to engage with my immediate surroundings, but I also like to dig into the layers of accumulative time that we refer to as our immediate present, which has its own individual history and memory. My process is rooted in the physical act of painting, transforming digital steels into textured, layered imageries. Portrait and figurative painting have always been my deep interests. When painting people, I look into the images projected through the screen. In an age where digital connections often replace a physical presence, my work explores the tension between intimacy and distance inherent in virtual interactions. I started working on portraits through video calls. I intentionally employed colors to flatten the visual field. I use bright color that cuts the perspective and depth of the image. The brightness of the painting forces the viewer to take the entire image at once, echoing how digital images flatten perception and how screens present images which are simultaneously striking yet very detached.
Could we invite Samudra Gogoi to come up? Samudra Gogoi has completed his bachelor's in design in ceramic and glass from Kala Bhavan, Vishwabharati University, and his master's from the Department of Art, Media and Performance at Shiv Nadar Institute of Eminence. His practice moves across video games, word building, human computer interaction, narrative experiments, prints, drawings, text, ceramics, and glass. His current interests explore death studies, belief systems, societies, and ecology, and the way these fields shape relationships between bodies, environments, and cultural imaginaries. He constantly energizes with the thought of a body not decomposing, emerging from Immense Passage 2024. The A Body Not Decomposing project extends questions first explored through Zibon, a drop of water navigating the subterranean spaces between the living and the dead. It considers how ecological thought, interactive narrative, and word building can articulate the paradox of a species seeking continuity while eroding the cycle that makes life possible.
Is only the parent of a root that expands into biological and synthetic time. Its parent function today is repeatedly altered by humans through synthesizing, not the synthesizing of that, but the synthesizing of other key functions that ripple back to alter that. Every need of a living body has evolved for survival, whether survival among pure organisms or survival within the systems and creations we have built. Its intricate source code becomes obscured by the scaffoldings produced by societal agencies that attach themselves to the extraction of synthetic time. Homo sapiens have moved forward into an era of invasive hypersimulation, a condition where life is not only accelerated but constantly abstracted, mediated, and reproduced at intensities far beyond the body's natural rhythms. These are not trivial aspects of life. They are the very textures that make existence tangible. Yet, as species greedy and restless, we have overclocked these habitats that sustain us. We produce speed at the cost of depth. And in doing so, we risk losing the capacity to sense, to ground, to belong. This hypersimulation manifests as oscillations at ever higher clock speeds. Every biological pulse, every cellular rhythm is quantified and accelerated. Living beings become streams of data, their oscillatory nature converted into numerical bits and cycles, into endless measured flows. Within this altered terrain, a body not decomposing becomes a cultural, ecological, and spiritual sign. It tells us that collapse is not a distant future, but already inside us, metabolized, saturating fat and rituals alike. In the body's suspension between life and decay, we witness fractures in ecological cycles, the corrosion of inherited cosmologies, and the rupture of our intimate relationship with land. This non decomposing body asks us to reconsider not only how we die, but how ecological, technological, and social systems have reshaped the conditions of living and dying. Its shift is both logistical and profoundly emotional. Communities mourn not only the death, but also the erosion of kinship within ecosystems. Rituals once affirming continuity now reveal disconnection. These ruptures are themselves data. Death rituals functioning as perimeters of ecological health.
Now coming to the final part of the ceremony, may I request Amita and Sheila to hand over the awards and invite the awardees on stage. So, Likita, do you want to come? Thank you. Momita? Preetam? Sanyukta? And Samudra. Yeah, just for a photograph maybe very quickly. Anything that we do, we cannot and do not do alone. I stand here representing the team that makes this evening come alive and the preparation for which starts many months before. A big thank you to Gladys Colasso, Anahita Ichiporia, Donita Quadras, who's behind the wings, Dipti Pare. A big thank you to Mushir, one of our alumni who takes time out each year and designs the lovely brochures that you all are holding. Vanchika Babbar, the 2025 Inlaks Fine Art Awardee, who helped us put this presentation together. And also to Manoj and Rishikesh, who willingly and promptly and joyfully are always available to capture the evening's moments. So while it seems like we're a small team, the real team, rather the hands and legs of the foundation, remain its growing alumni and an equally large number of well-wishers and committed individuals. In fact, many of them are in the room here today, who take time out each year and help us with our selections across our opportunities. We're truly grateful and appreciate their support, which enables us to fulfill the vision of the foundation. Thank you to the NCA team as well, and we hope you have a lovely evening. There's lovely dinner waiting, and volunteers will direct you to the restaurant. Thank you so much.